correct? So, is this something you've always had, or is this something you tapped into?
So I've always had it. Everyone always has it. It's part.
Okay.
It's part of the way that I explain it to different people is like it's being human,
Mm-hmm.
because it's part of just you have masculine side, feminine side, and the spiritual side.
Mm-hmm.
That's our soul. That's the spiritual side. Now, through experience of life, it gets locked away because we forget we haven't been using it.
Yeah.
But it always shines through. So when I was a kid, I was very like, obviously a lot of kids are very in tune. You see it more online than ever. It's real because you just came down from there.
Yeah.
And I was very in tune to the point where I was scared because my family didn't believe in it. My grandma was the only person that did it, but she did what I did. She was
Yeah.
wandering, not believing in money, doing trades with people, and she would see me once a year and try to force something because she knew I could do it.
Yeah.
But I never really listened. But
Right.
I was so afraid of what I was seeing because it was like, these are people in my house, I'm trying to defend my family, that I got Tourette syndrome from it. The trauma at that age like messed me up, and then it went away for a bit.
Yeah.
And it wasn't till my grandma died. I saw her before she died, and she said, "You're gonna be doing this for a living one day." I'm like, "Okay, Grandma. Okay,
Yeah.
you know, I'll do whatever." And she's like, "Learn all these things, blah blah blah." And it was great to make her happy because she's dying. When she died, I had two dreams in a row of her. It was the same dream, and I was completely aware of what was happening, and it always ends with her hugging me, saying I'm always there. After the second dream, I would wake up every night. I had my painting business at this point. I was into painting, union painting, all that stuff like that. I had my life kind of set up. Every night at 2 o'clock, I would wake her over yelling, say, "Hey, listen to me, listen to me!" And I was like, "What's going on? I'm schizophrenic." And I hid it because I didn't want to. I had everything going for me. I didn't want to like lose it.
Yeah.
So for years, I couldn't sleep. I had her yelling at me every night to listen. Until that Florida trip where I went and my roommate, my old roommate, he was a friend at that time. He used logic to that. I was having a bunch of scenarios where I was like, I think I'm nuts, man. It's like, ever just tried listening to it? They're saying listen. I'm like, no. He's like, well, if it makes sense, you have a gift. If not, you're nuts.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that makes sense. So that night I was inspired. I was going to brave my fear, and I listened, and I got this really weird message. And it was about something that didn't make sense to me. I'm like, well, maybe I'm nuts. So I wrote everything down, and I was up till 5 just trying to analyze it. And then I eventually woke him up in the morning. I was like, I can't wait any longer. Does this mean anything to you? And he's a very macho Italian guy. He's a great person, but he's very in control of his emotions.
Yeah.
I've never seen him cry before. That was a message for him because it was for me. I wouldn't have believed it.
Yeah.
And I got a message for him, and I was like, oh my God. And I that's when I was like, I'm not nuts. So that's a lift off my shoulders. I was an atheist.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, when you die, it isn't just nothing. There's more.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that spiraled me in a way of doing this stuff. And the last big thing that was from that story was when I came back to New York. I was in Yonkers at the time. I got home at 3 a.m. because the flight was delayed. She said, "Hey, Alex, find the box. Good night." I'm like, what's the box? What's that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like I said, my grandma was kind of homeless in a way. She did exactly what I'm doing now. Not as good as I'm doing it because different times and stuff like
Right.
that. But my aunt paid for a storage container, and when she was dying, my aunt said, "Hey, I'm not going to keep everything everybody wants to keep," and she said, "Keep the box for Alex. He'll come for when he's ready. The cigar box." And she's like, "Okay," so she threw everything else out, kept that, and I called her. And I was like, "Hey, it's gonna be weird, but Grandma talks to me, and she has a cigar box or a box or something, and she says, meet me this Saturday." I'm like, "Well, okay, whatever." And then I meet her Saturday. She says, and she told me that story about the boxes. I don't know how you knew about this, but here you go.
Yeah.
I open it up, and it's her tarot cards.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the oh my God. And that's what started me on the journey of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a weird, and it's just a weight was lifted. If you want to look at like examples from the Bible too,
Yeah.
like Moses was a channeler. He talked to God.
Right.
Everyone no one else could hear him but him.
Yeah.
And that's what Moses did. Channeling is a way of connecting to people and beings up there.
Yeah.
And Moses was leading the Jews out of Egypt by talking to him.
Yeah.
Like, now the thing is that to be like a successful medium, you gotta like realize that you don't know what you're saying half the time, and also you gotta be in the mindset and the vibration to do the highest good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I always tell people when I do readings, like, it's like, I only repeat what they say, and I always ask, I set an intention of talking to who your guides are, your people that, your guardian angels and stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's who I want to give the message, your free therapists up there.
Yeah.
So and that's what the intention is. And like, you're not supposed to know half the stuff you're saying. Because you're not the person to fix them.
Yeah.
They're talking to you to get in contact with them.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that people like, if it's an intention-based thing. If you seek dark stuff, you're going to get dark stuff.
That's right.
If you seek manipulation, you'll get manipulation. If you just want to be yourself and be kind to people and things like that, you'll get that.
Right.
You know?
And you know, like in the Christian faith, right? You'll hear a lot, man, that wasn't me. That wasn't me talking, man. God, you know what I'm saying? And I believe that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like there's a vision, right, where the Apostle Paul, before his name was Saul before he became Paul. He was on the road to Damascus getting ready to go persecute Christians because he was a Hebrew of the Hebrews. He studied the law, like, you know, he hated Christians, right? He was locking them up, getting them killed, all kinds of stuff. So on his road to Damascus, and I love this story because the Lord Jesus appeared unto him. Now, he was with people, but the people couldn't see in the spirit realm. They heard the audible, but only the Apostle Paul could see in the spirit realm. So the people around him were like, man, who's Paul talking to, man? Like, this is great. But, and I use that as, hey, man, like, everyone has like we said earlier, everyone has a gift, right? And it's not for other people to understand. God appeared that to you, not to me, right? I might have heard it, but that's not for me to understand because God gave that vision to you.
Yeah.
Right? And so...
And like I said, like, he gives I said this to you the other day, is like, he gives us, we're made in his image, obviously, you know,
Right.
and then he gives us free will.
Yep.
And he also, in his image, for what he designs us to have, we have different abilities. You know, some people are insanely in tune where they have all of these things, and some people don't.
Yeah.
And some people have one or two. It's just as meaningful. It's not like you lack something. You have it for a reason.
Yeah.
But if I said you always have a choice in life, the free will thing. If he gives us these abilities, gives us the free will to use it how we want, why and like I said, people in the Bible have done it too. They've had these abilities, maybe not as clear as like this guy could do this with this ability name, blah blah blah. But why would I go to hell if I continue to try to do the right thing with it? Because I don't feel like that's. I mean, now if I go around and lie to people for money and like most of the stuff I did here, actually all the readings I did in this stuff were all completely free.
Yeah.
I didn't expect any return in direct of kindness. People have helped me, but I have never once charged someone in this hotel for do the work.
Yeah.
And I didn't force it. I was like, do you want it? And they're like, yeah. And that's really it.
Yeah.
So like, if I'm just doing that just for the goodness of the moment, and I'm using it in a way that's full of love and life with the intention of just beings up there that want you to succeed,
Yeah.
why would I go to hell still?
Yeah.
Why would he give me that, and then I can make the right choices?
Yeah.
That's where the fear comes in because. Everyone has something.
Yeah.
Everyone has. There's not one person that's completely disconnected.
Yeah.
That's impossible. You can't be disconnected. So you can be too connected where you go crazy, but you can't be disconnected.
Yeah.
And that's where people have to honor what God gave them, like empaths, like things like that. Like it's not some. It's a real thing.
What is that?
Empaths basically it goes really deep. Like you can go really deep with it. The very fundamental is that when you walk into a room, you feel everyone else's emotions around you.
Oh.
Usually they're the ones that are most empathetic. Like, what's wrong, buddy? And like, you're like, how do you know? Like,
Almost like you can feel the tension in the air,
yeah,
type of thing.
kind of that. And usually everyone has that. A lot of people do, but also they say it's social anxiety. But also you could be like, look at it from a realistic perspective. You could be fine. You walk into a store, you're fine, and then you go into a group of people, and be real. Like, when I get close to you, it's not social anxiety if I was feeling fine in the streets of Manhattan and then walk next to you and now I'm scared.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, that's not an illness.
Right.
There's something off with your energy.
Yeah.
And to not label it as a sickness, because everything that, like, I thought I was schizophrenic for years and realized, hey, I'm just hearing the people up there.
Mm-hmm.
They will want you to think you're sick.
Right.
So you don't do it. You villainize it.
Yeah.
But if you look at it there are some people who are mentally ill. Obviously, I'm not
Uh-huh.
saying everyone's the same case with that, but just use logic, like my friend did. Use logic.
Yeah.
If it makes sense, you're not sick. You have a gift.
Yeah.
Because everyone has something.
Right. Right.
You know?
Right. And I know we touched on this a little bit yesterday, and so like, and like for believers, right? Our scriptures is our guide, right? And so I know you shared with me yesterday, kind of like that's what the cards are for, right? Those are your guides. Or explain that.
Yeah. So my main thing is like I mainly hear them. That's my main thing. You know, kind of and so many people are disconnected now that when you start doing a reading, all your guides and angels are like, oh my god, he finally has a chance to hear us. They talk over each other. It's like they have all ADHD because you haven't been able to connect in a way that's like so direct. So when people do it, it might be, and when there's multiple people in the room, they talk over each other and they want to get all their messages out in the limited time you have. So as a intention-based thing to get the most honest, direct message, it's literally just it's more for me than it is for you. It's a way to paint what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
So, for instance, say that you want to move out in Florida, but the finances are not aligning with it, and they're saying if as soon as you make that decision, you'll be fine. They'll support you financially through serendipity, which is divine intervention stuff, like random things that you can't expect to get you to where you want to move to. I get the Chariot card. I get the Judgment, the Two of Swords, which is the choice card, and then I get the Wheel of Fortune card. Like that to me validates that I just heard that.
Yeah.
So I'm okay. That's the right message for this question. I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
It's nothing about like connecting with deeper things. I already have the connection. I don't need that stuff.
Yeah.
It just makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
And it's like with the scripture, like some people like you see a lot of people that are preachers and stuff, and like someone ails something, they just know the right passage to say. The
Yeah.
Bible's huge.
Yeah,
It is
yeah.
a huge book, and they just like, I can't know the numbers on, but
Yeah,
like
so-
they say this number Matthew blah blah blah. This is what you need to hear, and they start crying. Like
Yeah.
like that is a big book.
Yeah.
And it's not so much the tool. It's like it's just a way to translate it to a way that they understand it.
Yeah.
And I say as like a jokingly thing all the time is like I could use that mug as a thing to help me out with.
Yeah.
And it's as simple as it's what you put the value into to help you out the most.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
intention's still there. They'll work with it.
Yeah.
You can use a book. I use Harry Potter a lot.
Yeah.
Because everyone knows Harry Potter and everyone likes the story. I use that book a lot in the series to help with the message.
Yeah.
And everyone loves it because everyone knows Harry Potter.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not the cards. It's what you could use to get the picture across.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to vilify the cards is the same thing to vilify using other things that are harmless.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's we shouldn't really need it, but today's world it's easier to do that stuff.
Gotcha. Like I know, like bro, yesterday, the night before last, as a matter of fact, we were talking to some young men. We had a panel of young men, and they weren't necessarily believers, but they came with questions, right? And so, of course, as believers, right, we're ministering to them, and this passage touches on this specific thing. And then that night, bro, I'm kind of tossing and turning. I finally doze off. It's like 3:00 in the morning, and I just felt like I woke up and I was trembling, bro, and I was just like, man, I got to get on my face, bro. So I'm praying, and I feel like God led me to Philippians chapter 2, verse 12, where it talks about, where the Apostle Paul was talking about, you guys have been, faithful in my sight, but, what you do in private is important, right? And to work out your salvation with fear and trembling. And so I was just like, man, like, how you kind of touched on, being yourself, right? And I know this is my calling, right, to minister to people. And it was just like, I want to make sure I'm in my right state, I'm in the right spirit. And it was just like, I know it was God's spirit telling me, hey man, like, come conversate with me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, I gotta, like, Lord, I'm on my face, I'm praying, like, I gotta make sure that, hey man, I'm not just practicing righteousness in front of people. I gotta make sure this is me, I'm in right tune with the Spirit, bro. And being in the presence of that Holy Spirit, and it's a reverence, you know what I'm saying? It's not a fear of, I'm gonna strike you down. You know what I'm saying?
It's a reminder.
Because
Yeah.
it's that reverence, like, man, I'm in front of the holiest spirit, man. It was just like, and I'm just like, man, Lord, thank you, man. Just keep my heart right. You know what I'm saying? So, I can be a light to people. Because I had got overly righteous and zealous early on in my walk, and man, you're going to hell. You know what I'm saying? And it was just like, no, man. I burned more bridges doing that, and it was just like, that's not what God called me to do, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He called us to be a light. You know what I mean? And so that the spiritual realm is real, y'all. It is real, man. And you believe in evil spirits?
Oh, for sure. I mean, there are things that don't want us to succeed, for sure.
Yeah.
Because also, when you're more negative, it attracts negative things to come. Because that's how they eat. It's not like they're eating our skin. They eat the energy.
Yep.
And they attach to people who are negative because they spread it.
Yeah.
And it's a real. I got that story. I'll mention that when I first started going into, like, I first moved to Florida. I'm on my travels now. I'm in Orlando for a year.
Yeah.
I just realized I wasn't nuts. I took the chance, and things were getting rough. But I didn't really care because I'm like, this is what I'm here to do. I'm happy still, even though I'm getting through all these bull crap. Because you have to suffer for purpose.
Yeah.
You suffer to learn how to not get bothered by things, how to overcome it.
That's
the
right.
self-worth of things.
Yeah.
Becoming that person you can be to deliver the message. Just because I heard them doesn't mean I was ready to give the messages out yet.
Yeah.
And I had to become that person. And that was all the things I went through. But I had a lot of questions. I still have questions. You never stop having questions. And I wanted to know so much, but they wouldn't tell me everything past work on yourself. So I went out one day, and I was out in this. I was a very negative area in Orlando, a very crime-ridden area. It was the first place that would take me, so I went there, and went to a little nature park near the water. So at 1 a.m, which I was up all night just thinking about these questions, I went out there and I asked God, like, hey, why can't you just tell me something? Like, I really want to know these things, and I know I know I'm gonna be patient, but it's like a test of patience and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I go inside back home, but before I left, I felt someone watching me. I was like, I look over and no one's there. It was like a really eerie feeling. That's not, I'm in a crime area, so I think it might be someone trying to rob me. So I walk back to the place fast, and I get in my house, and I start to meditate. Because usually when you ask a question, you got to listen afterwards. Mm-hmm. So I'm meditating. I had this is the first time I had this experience where I had an out-of-body experience. And it was not anything like I planned it, because I saw myself sleeping there. And I was like, well, this is really weird. What just happened? I didn't intend to do this. And I look over, and there's a guy, a very small guy. He's like 5 foot, very small. He had a very he had a suit on, but it was like a dark red suit. He was incredibly pale, like eerily pale. He had like a weird like old timer like old. Think of someone from the 1920s without the top hat.
Yeah.
So how their hair would look. Very and emotionless. He showed no emotion, and he had a suitcase, and he looked like a traveling salesman. He had like a little gold little like pocket watch chain underneath the thing, and he had a bodyguard looking guy who was he was dressed more like a thug. He was insanely ripped. A mortal can't be as ripped as this guy would be.
Yeah,
and also he was so tall that I couldn't see his face in my view. I couldn't really look at him. I had to look at the business guy, but I knew that his head was out of my line of sight. He was just sitting there motionless. And the guy asked me, so you want the answers? I'm like, who are you? Because trust your gut. Like the way you have guts with yourself, you trust the gut of the person that you're seeing in that realm.
Yeah.
Intuition, like the gut feeling. Obviously, from how he looked, I instantly thought Devil at the Crossroads. Like, this is a very weird person. There's no emotion. And he's like, you want the answers, right? I'm like, not from you, though. I asked the guy upstairs. And he takes out this, for lack of a better term, like the rice picker hats from like Vietnam and stuff. He takes it and puts it on my head. And I take it off right like, no, I don't want that. He's like, if you wear this, you get the answers. I'm like, I don't want it from you, though.
Yeah.
And he sits there, it's just like emotionless the entire time. And then I get snapped back in my body. I'm like, oh, that was weird. I'm laying down just trying to ground myself. And out of nowhere, I feel a giant hand on my neck go like this, like lift me up and choke slam me into the couch.
Yeah.
I flipped out, and I had like a hand mark on my neck. It scared the hell out of me.
Hell yeah.
And then eventually, and that was it. The last time I saw that guy, but like, it was genuinely terrifying that I couldn't sleep with the lights off for a week.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with cop-outs. You know, they told me patience is a thing, and I was out no protection stuff at all, is out in the woods in the middle of the night in a crime-ridden area asking for answers. That spirit happened to be there.
Yeah.
Quick bait, and he followed me home, and when you're meant to learn something and they tell you like patience is the foundation for everything.
That's right.
I guarantee you, if I did wear that hat spiritual, I would have gotten the answers, but there would have been a way worse price to it that I wouldn't have been able to get out of.
Yeah, yeah.
And in that moment, even though it sounded good, you gotta like they told me time and time again, patience. Like, why would out of nowhere they would do that?
Yeah.
So that was the only real bad experience I've ever had. But after that, I also learned how to not get into those situations.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, and that was, I'm very grateful that I didn't choose that because it would have been a way different story.
Right.
And they're real. So
yeah, that's real.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, hey, let's take a break and we're gonna come back and there's a few more things we want to touch on, if that's okay with you. And yeah, we'll get into more stuff. So we'll be right back, y'all. All right, so we're back from our break, and so we left off on the story of pretty much the man at the crossroad, right? With the whole, and y'all seen on my channel, I had a similar story where a demon tried to kill me, man, because we both can agree that, man, the spiritual realm is definitely real, man. Bro, have you ever come across like dark magic or anything? Like, have you ever I don't know, do mediums meet and greet? And,
oh yeah.
Have you ever come across someone that's on some dark type stuff?
Yeah, there's a type for everything, which is good and bad, and there's also a right and wrong way to do things.
Yeah.
So there's some so dark magic in a nutshell isn't like, oh, I'm cursing or that. It's manipulation. And the most common example, which you're seeing now more than ever, is young people doing love spells of attracting or trying to keep someone from moving on.
Yeah.
And when you do it for so the way that spells work is they're for you. They're for you, and if you're ready to receive something, you receive it.
Yeah.
That's how. But when you try to control things that isn't for you, that's when it and also controlling is you can only control your actions yourself and things like that.
Yeah.
But when you try to do other people, that's when it's like, what are you doing? Karma's gonna be humbled in a way that you are not ready for.
Yeah.
You see people coming I like this guy and he's dating another girl, so I'm trying to break him up. It's like, why? Move on. Be a person, a friend, and
yeah.
And that's where it gets bad because you can only control yourself, and if so, you can't. And it's like, even with their consent, it's not the right way to do it.
Yeah.
People selling spells and stuff like that. This is controversial, obviously, to that community, but it's not like that.
Yeah.
It's if you want to do a spell and you're ready to receive what you're doing, you will do it yourself. And because it's a very personal thing. Now, like I said, that's controversial to the community, but I've seen it go both ways.
Yeah.
And especially without the consent of the other person, you're asking to get humbled by God. You're asking for it.
And you know what's wild, bro, is and you see it a lot in the Latin community, which the Latin community also has ties to the African community, right? And so my biological father, he was Cuban, and I never met him, so I don't know anything about him, but when my mom was young and she was dating him, my mom told me that he had a shrine in the shed, and you hear a lot of Santeria, which has ties to African black magic and stuff like that. And so my wife's grandmother, right, she claims to be this diehard Catholic and all this kind of crazy stuff. But and I say all that to say this because talking to my wife's mom, she would tell us stories when she was a little girl. And so it was 3 girls and a boy. They finally got the boy, right? And the grandmother, which is their mom, would do these seances around the sun, and he would convulse and all kinds. And bro, my wife's uncle was a very evil person. I mean, he molested my wife, bro, molested his own sisters, bro. He's molested all the girls in the family, his own sister, bro. And he wound up catching AIDS, and he died a horrible death. He wound up developing lung cancer, and all kinds of craziness, bro. But they were tapped into that dark magic, and I remember when me and my wife were teens. My wife and her cousins, like my wife, kind of she went to church and all that, and she's had faith in God, right? But they did kind of dabble in some magic stuff, and my wife told me when we were teens, she's like, yeah, I did like a little spell type thing so that you would love, talking about me, that I would love her. And I'm like, she's my world, and I'm thinking, man, what the hell, like, man, you know what I'm saying? But let her tell it today. She's like, it wasn't that serious. But I'm like, tapping into that stuff is real though. You know what I'm saying? And you got to be careful, because you're gonna tap into something you're not prepared for. You know what I mean? And black magic and dark spirits, evil spirits, those things are real, man. And so, like your spirits with the pale guy, bro, that's scary as hell.
I mean, I wasn't able to sleep with the lights off for a week.
Yeah.
And I was still new to the whole experience.
Right.
And I just got choke slammed by someone I couldn't defend myself against.
Right. Like, bro, even my experience, like how you explained, that big guy, he was ripped. Like, bro, my video explaining the demon that was coming at me, bro, he was huge, bro. And like, you can't see certain details, but like you can tell this. You could see the muscle structure, and like, bro, he was so big, and as he was breathing, you see his muscles flexing it, bro. It's scary as hell, bro, and it's evil. Yeah,
it's the gut feeling. Like, you go into a bar and you have a bad vibe, you leave the bar.
Yeah.
If you see that guy, like the whole business looking guy, from just seeing how he looked, it's like, that's not someone to make a deal with.
Right.
Because like, a pale man with no emotion.
Yeah.
Like that, like, it was a business suit. Like, I just instantly thought Devil at Crossroads, and he offered me a quick solution. And that's another thing, is that like with the spell work.
Yeah.
I said earlier, if you're ready to receive it, you will.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying you won't receive other things from it, but you have to be open to that person, that possibility.
Yeah.
I have a story from North Carolina. I had a friend that was living with someone, and that person was going through she was calling on an entity that isn't a bad entity, but she was calling on it to help with like self-empowerment, and that entity is used for female empowerment. But she has more of like a dark way of like looking inside to finding what's wrong.
Yeah.
And she was doing rituals to have her to solve it for her. Yeah. Which is not the purpose of life. You have to like overcome the things to become the person to do things. I had to go through Orlando and all that stuff before I could actually do what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
She was trying for a cop out, thinking that she was powerful enough to overcome that, and say, "You do it for me." So what that entity decided to do, and the friend was involved just by being there, which sucked, and she wanted me to come over to help her get out of there. The entity's like, "You're coming to me, trying to make me the person that you want to work with. You have to become that person." So what she did was it's a very weird way of putting it, but she put like a little like a hex, I guess, the entity on the house, so that you can only hear your thoughts. It's a very weird way. Like, I could talk to you and hear me, but when you're in tune, you could always hear the other side, the intuitive gifts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When you're in there, it's just silence besides your own breath.
Yeah.
And for someone who has in tune a lot, and you get a headache too, like a blockage on the chakras up here.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So she started going crazy because how do you work to become a better person?
Right.
You focus on yourself, what you're thinking about.
Yeah.
But she was not prepared for that.
Yeah.
So, and by the roommate living there, she didn't know that was happening, but that was a part of, she was living there, she felt it.
Yeah.
So I went there, and it was very, very, very weird of an experience, because she was in North Carolina, the apartments are like zigzag staircases, and then the walls on the side. She comes out running, crying. She's like, "Go in there and tell me if you feel it too." I'm like, "What's going on in there?" So she's in my car, and I'm walking up these staircases, and I swear I hear this weird chanting noise. That was a TV, like a home, like a weird, I'm like, what's that? Like, and it was getting louder as I got towards the door. I'm like, is someone like in there watching a TV show about Native American stuff or something? And I go in there, and then nothing. For the first time in years, I heard nothing.
Wow.
And I just got this horrible headache. And in her bedroom, her door was shut. And she said, "Don't open the bedroom door." She told me not to open it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, "Oh, this is," as I wasn't gonna listen to her. I was gonna open the door, but I wanted to walk close to see. Like, this is very weird. The closer I got to that door, the worse the headache got. And then as soon as I left the house, headache was gone, and I started hearing that noise again. And the farther I got from the house, the whole blah would go away. I was like, that's scary.
Yeah.
But that's what you get for messing around with things and not being prepared. Because she gave her what she wanted. It's not how she imagined it.
Yeah.
But now she ruined that house.
Wow.
Because instead of doing the work to become that person, she just moved out and left her roommate there to suffer with 2 cats.
Wow.
So it's like there's always something, and it's not always malicious, but if you're not ready to receive something, why do magic to do it?
Yeah.
When you're if you're on a mission to become this thing or save an addiction thing, you can't pay someone to get rid of your addiction for you. You got to overcome those lessons.
Yeah.
It's not how you got to become that person to be ready to receive it.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that.
Yeah.
And that's where they get into problems.
Right. And you know what's wild, bro, is in the Bible there's Simon the sorcerer, bro. He's seen that the apostles were laying hands on people, healing them from all kinds of stuff, right? So Simon the sorcerer comes, and Simon the sorcerer, he had status where he was at, because he was tapping into some magical stuff or whatever, right? But he's looking at the disciples healing these people, and he says, hey, how much can I pay you to receive this kind of power? And they rebuked him. They were like, bro, this is a gift. Like, you can't pay for this. Like,
Yeah.
you can't, bro, there's no amount of money you can pay for this. This comes from the spiritual realm. Money isn't going to give this to you. You know what I mean? And it's wild, bro. It's wild, man.
It's a real thing.
It is.
Like almost everything, every experience that I've experienced, you could relate it to that book.
Right.
You could relate a similar thing to that.
Yeah.
And it's just so to show that with an open mind, you could just find similarities with everything.
Right.
You know, and it's the real core value is like, it's not supposed to be something that is held secret.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be something that you charge people for. Now, obviously, in a world full of money, I have done things in the past, like my job as a tarot reader in the past. But by learning the lessons to not value the experience and realizing I don't need the money, I just do it for free now.
Right.
You know, and that's ever since you do that, it's easier.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I had an experience. We went to Connecticut. As a matter of fact, we were just talking about Connecticut. We went up there because a dude. I have a spoken word called Just Imagine, and I talk about my addiction, how I was molested, and how I had overcame these things, and how I became a believer. And he saw that, bro, and he was so moved by it, and he actually flew me out to Connecticut. And he's like, bro, like, you should come talk at this church, and and we had planned it for months. And I went there with a team of dudes when I used to do music, and the first night we went there, we were thinking, okay, CD sales, like we're gonna sell CDs, right? We'll get some money, this and that. There was nothing spiritual about it. But bro, the next day, me and one of my brothers, right, we were like, yo, we went about it all wrong. We were like, man, it just didn't feel right, bro. And so we prayed, and we were like, Lord God, just do your thing, man. Do your thing. We don't care about money. We don't care about CD sales. Like, bro, we care about the people's souls, man, because that's what it is. That's the mission. All right, sorry about that. So yeah, so the very next day, bro, as we had prayed, and stuff like that, just to allow God and the Holy Spirit to just do what it do, man. And I tell you what, bro, when we move like that in the spiritual realm, like, that's when we see things happen, bro. That's when you see, people become vulnerable, and healing begins and stuff like that. And it was beautiful. And you know what? It was in an underground church, and bro, it looked like a New York subway. It was all tagged up with graffiti, and we was, man, talking about, hey, I used to be an addict and stuff like that, and what the Lord did for me and cleaned me up, and because I was a very hateful person. And then because the Bible talks about the stony heart. I will give you a heart of flesh. I'll put in you a new spirit, right? And when God did that for me, it was just like, bro, I love people, man. I want to love them. Because, bro, the world is so negative, bro. And it's just like, I don't want to be the one to add any negativity to anybody, man. Because you know what? You never know what people are going through. And that's one of the fascinating things, I find here at my job is, bro, people are running from something, going through something, or going towards something here at the hotel. And I'm like, bro, I've met, like yourself again, like, I met so many incredible people, bro, down people, happy people, like, you know, and like, bro, it's incredible, man. And then, like, bro, when you move with that positivity, when you move with that spirit, bro, it's just like, bro, you can have amazing conversations. And, like, bro, healing happens, bro, when you come across, you know what I'm saying, nice people who've been touched by the spirit, bro.
It's I was telling you with the power, the manifestation and the power of things, like one negative thought is one negative prayer towards creating it towards reality.
Yeah.
And mindset is literally everything. Yeah. So like as people, if we're kept in low vibration, we aren't really creating.
Yeah.
We're also creating. We are creating, but not creating the right things. We're creating an environment that's judgmental, hateful, separate, victims, all those things.
Yeah.
If we have a small group, like your friends going to Connecticut, you change your mindset to be, hey, this is a bigger reason why we're here. Sure, we might lose money, but let's do what you need to do. It created that vibration with the mindset and manifested a way that was a beautiful memory and an experience for everyone involved.
Actually, and you know what? To add to that, bro, you know what's crazy, right? Is the pastor of that church was so moved by what had happened in that room. Bro, mind you, there were several of us that came from Florida. Bro, he gave each of us like $100 for...
Yeah.
And it was just like, we didn't go there for money that day. Like, we weren't concerned. And he was like, guys, I am just so moved. He was like, hey, man, you know, God just put it on my heart, man. Here, let me bless you, man. Because you know what? We were kind of like, you know, eating McDonald's and like little, you know, dollar foods, you know, just to, you know, skate by. But it was just like, we received that. And I was just like,
oh, wow. Yeah. Wow.
And then, like, people bought like a couple of CDs off us, and it was just like, whoa, that's crazy. Because the first day, I think we might have sold like one CD, but like the second day, it wasn't about none of that. But then blessings came when we moved the right way. You know what I'm saying? And it was incredible.
They will not, when you are your best self, you are the best gift that you can be to the world. And your best self isn't involved with things that most humans are involved with. Yeah. Because those things are artificial.
Yeah, yeah.
All you need is you.
Yeah.
And all you need to be is you. Yeah. And they will not let you fail when you are being you.
Yeah.
And usually when you're being you, you're not trying to hurt anyone.
Right.
You know, it's like all about like, let's just see how happy it can be, or I see we can get through this.
Yeah.
And like I said with the money, like I don't do it for money, and then man, I wish I had a pack of cigarettes. Some person just walks up after I met. Here's $20 today. I'm like, for what? I was like, what? Thank you. That's it.
Yeah.
If you just do that, you will not fail. When you first start, it's good to acknowledge when you're first trying to live that life, they will put you through a lot of gutter to come out that person.
Yeah.
And that's different for everyone. Like addiction, money. Usually for me, like I said, I was getting sued by creditors. I was going through a bunch of things for a long period of time till I just stopped caring about money.
Yeah.
And then when that happened, bam, all this stuff unfolded. It took me about 4 years after I woke up to actually start realizing that I just got to let go of it.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to.
Right.
You know?
Right.
It's a beautiful thing. And once you do it, it's like, I can't imagine how I once let that dictate. It's like that part of you literally died.
Yeah.
And you're like looking up a past level and like, how did that person be that silly with it?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And, you know, like, we have brought this up about, you know, like, pain and long suffering, because the Bible talks about pain and long suffering, but what that does, right, it propels you, you know what I'm saying, to a whole nother level, bro.
It's suffering with purpose.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what you, back to like the accountability thing, is like, you don't blame other people.
Right.
Because sure, you can always blame the government and all these things for making these in place, but you only have control of yourself.
Yeah.
Yourself and your actions, how you handle things.
That's right.
So other people have done it before you in way worse conditions.
Yeah.
So if you want to make a change, like that Michael Jackson song, Man in the Mirror, you focus on you, and it's not going to be easy. You'll have to say goodbye to a lot of people because you have to outgrow things.
That's right.
But when you get out, you're like, I can't believe I made it as hard as it was hard because of me.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the government that did it.
Right.
Sure, they're one of the maybe, but not my parents, not this. I chose to stay there too long.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And when you realize that, it's like, what else am I holding myself back from?
Yeah, yeah.
And you spiral in a way towards the light.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
There's a thing in the spiritual community called the Book of Shadows, and everyone is like a journal of the dark side of you have to remove and things like that. I call it the Book of Light because I'm blatantly optimistic with everything, but it's not supposed to be. I'm labeling it as a dark thing, but those things are supposed to be things that bring me towards the light.
Yeah.
So why would I label a book a dark thing?
Yeah.
It's the mindset.
Right.
So my Book of Light today, I have problems with money, blah blah, and looking back, it's just me overcoming everything that once brought fear to me.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And most people back in New York, I went for one last trip before I just swore it off because I don't need to go there anymore. They didn't recognize me.
Yeah.
Like, not because of the hair, but because because they thought I was putting on a show.
Yeah.
And they were trying to treat me like they used to, and it was just like, yeah, nice to see you. And I lost a lot of friends and family because of that, because they refused to believe that I changed.
Yeah.
I'm not here to prove to them, but also to each their own. I just walked away, and that drove them even more nuts. Like, how could you walk away?
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm better than you thing.
Absolutely.
I'm sure that thought process of how did Alex leave for 3 years, come back, and now he's different.
Yeah.
That's going to come up when they need it most.
Yeah.
Just like those two guys did when I left, and they were doing great too, because they also ghosted everyone too.
Right.
And eventually, by you being you, will spiral and branch up like a spider web and attach everyone that you once, almost everyone.
Yeah.
And that's what life is.
Yeah.
You do you to the best you can without being resentful. Always compare yourself to yesterday's you.
Yeah.
Because you always want to do better than you did yesterday.
I know that's right. I say the same exact thing, bro. I
Yeah.
try to be a better person today than I was yesterday, bro.
Yeah, it's never the person next to you because they have different stuff.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
So,
I love that, bro.
Yeah.
I love that, man. So, I know your message has been, peace and patience, bro.
It's the hardest ones, but it's the best ones because every blessing comes with patience.
Yeah.
And also, you'll never understand why until in hindsight.
Yeah.
So the piece of it, like having the accountability mindset of why is this happening to me, instead of like what got me into this, instead of why does everyone suck? It's
Right.
what did I get into this?
Right.
And when you have that, little things don't matter.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, let's just find a solution.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the two main things that will get you through life. Having patience, and you're tested on patience every day.
Every day.
Right when you think you're the most patient man, you're behind a person in the car that just doesn't know what they're doing.
Yeah, yeah.
And you have to. My old roommate had a good rule: you don't honk the horn,
Yeah, yeah.
because that's when you break the rule. So you had a red light turns green, and the guy's in front of you. You have to wait, and you don't honk the horn.
Yeah.
And you wait,
Yeah.
and they could be on for like a minute, and it turns red again. You have to wait.
Yeah.
And traffic is the best way to learn patience.
Bro, that's so funny because, bro, we talk about traffic all the time, bro. And it's like, right, you'll be going to church and hallelujah. And as soon as you get in traffic, you're like, MF and throwing up half a peace sign and all that. You know what I mean? So that's real, though, bro.
And patience is the key to grace and the key to everything else.
Yeah.
Because you never will get it when you want it. You get it when you need it. Every lesson, every blessing.
Yeah.
You will never have a perfect situation that you can expect.
Yeah.
You'll always receive the blessings when you need it, not when you want it.
Yeah.
So that's something that
That's fire.
And instant gratification is non-existent.
I know that's right, man.
Those are cop-outs.
Yep.
And when you do cop-outs, you get humbled.
Yeah.
Because you don't learn the lessons, you take a cop-out.
I know that's
You know?
right, man. And we live in a microwave generation, bro, where instant gratification. It's like, no, man, let that thing slow cook.
Yeah.
Because, bro, it tastes better when it's slow cooked and all
It
that, man.
tastes better. It's more meaningful, and also you have all the experience of actually earning it. That's
Right.
because a big thing that people understand is knowledge is separate than wisdom. Knowledge is something you could learn when you studying and things like that. Wisdom comes from the experience, and no one can teach it to you if you're not ready to see it. And wisdom is what people lack. You could say it's common sense. No, it's wisdom.
Yeah.
And that's why it's the wandering fool. I don't know why the heck I'm going places.
Yeah,
I listen to where they tell me to go. I really this hotel. I had no reason why I was coming here.
Yeah.
I didn't plan on stopping at Florida.
Yeah.
I planned on going from North Carolina through to. They said go to Deerfield Beach.
Yeah.
So I ended up here, and then things worked out.
Right.
And I learned things.
Yeah.
I learned a lot of things. Because the fool gets all the wisdom if he's willing to learn it.
Huh.
So that's why they gave me the title Wandering Fool. You know, you tell where we're going, just be open to what happens.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I don't know what's going to happen in Arizona.
Right.
But I know that they want me to walk it, and I'm open to it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's probably not Arizona. It's probably getting to Arizona.
Yeah.
That's the journey.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's as simple as that. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
let's be open to it.
Yeah. Bro, I'm so excited for your journey, bro. Like,
Yeah.
man, I really hope, man, like, I hope we can cross paths later on, bro.
I'm sure we will. It's gonna be weird
yeah,
like that.
just to hear how it goes, man. That's gonna be exciting, bro. And that's what I want to get into. This is probably gonna be the last question or whatever. But right, your plans for traveling, man. So when are you looking to get up out of here, man? When's it gonna start?
So they've been telling me to go sooner than, but they give me. I told them June 10th is when I want to do because I want to also, like they're telling me to fully cut out money, like
Yeah.
my guides, like people upstairs.
Okay.
And they've given me proof time and again that they're going to support me for this, but also I don't want the credit card companies chasing after me.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to pay back one credit card bill, and I do have a job right now that I'm doing this for that purpose of it.
Right.
When that's done, I'm just not going to touch the credit card anymore. But they gave me till June 10th as like a deadline. Like, hey, if you wait past this time, we'll start like forcing you to go out. And usually that's through bills, which is funny because they want me to. It's how they get to me. And like this has happened before, where I was in North Carolina, didn't want to start my own business yet, so I got kidney stones with no insurance. And I'm like, oh my, and I'm still paying off those bills.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like they use money as a way to get me to be not afraid of money.
Yeah.
So June 10th is when I'm going. I'm going to carpool with a friend of mine to Georgia because Florida's too huge to walk in. And by the time I get to Georgia, it'll be fall already. I'm not doing that.
Okay.
So June 10th, I'm going to go to Georgia, around near Atlanta, and then walk west.
Yeah.
And I'm going to probably be alone for most of it, but, you know, I'm going to meet interesting people. Most of the states that I'm going through, dry camping, which is like if you're near public land, you could put a tent up and you're legally fine.
Yeah.
Those states are all legal to do that.
Yeah.
So I'll be doing that, harvesting food, walking, and I plan out in the maps I have. And then the goal is Sedona to end off there and reevaluate.
Okay.
So, but it should be about 4 months in a perfect scenario, give or take.
Right.
Realistically, to walk from New Jersey to California shore, it's about like 140 days, I believe. It's around 4 or 5 months, but also there's no mountains in the south part of the world, so it should be a lot easier.
Okay. Are you going to get into any mountains on this travel? Or?
I'm not against it. I mean, I'm sure there'll be like something. I'm sure Georgia has some mountains near like Atlanta. I don't really know, but
Okay.
the thing is that that's part of the planning of it.
Yeah.
I'm open to it. I've hiked up mountains like that 7.5. Yeah, I'm not against that.
Yeah, yeah.
Whenever you go through, your body adapts to it.
Right,
You know,
right.
so I'm just gonna. By the time I get to a mountain, I'll probably be like, I got this. You
yeah,
know?
yeah.
Got calves of steel. You know?
Yeah, man. And so, I know you had shared with me yesterday. There's going to be a part of your journey where you got to walk pretty much all the way through it, right? Because it's Indian territory.
Yeah. So this is something that came up a lot, and not just them telling me, but also I have people that have. I have friends in the community that I've made, and I went to people I haven't met yet for validation. 3 different people told me this. So there's energy lines in the planet that align with your soul, the ley lines. And
Okay.
it's just like different areas affect you differently. Like some people don't like the heat,
Yeah.
but it's not just the heat, it's something else entirely. And there's ways you could find that out for like doing astrocartography, it's called.
Yeah.
So there's one line that is like the soul's history, like it like unlocks ancient stuff with you, goes right through Cherokee Nation for me.
Is that the Road of Tears or
The
something?
Trail of Tears.
Yeah, is that it?
That Oklahoma is where they ended up after they walked all the way down to that.
Wow.
So maybe if you believe in past life stuff, and maybe in a past life I was one of those people that walked in the Trail of Tears or something. I don't really know how to look into that.
Okay.
But I knew that was right through the center of it. And if you look at the line and the reasoning of it, when you were near that line, ancient wisdom comes out in full force. Now, I'm not Native American in this life. If I wasn't, I don't know. But 3 different people that don't know each other have warned me, and along with my own meditations, that when I go there, I'm going to unlock a lot of things that from that past life stuff that's going to want me to go off the road. Now, it's not negative. It's a test. They said you're not in danger. This is a test. So, as a person that's not Native American, you could go on you could drive and walk in the major highways, but you can't go into the land itself, from my understanding, unless you're invited, because that's their nation.
Right.
So, and Oklahoma is like 4 giant ones right there. So I have to walk through 4 giant ones and stay on the road. And what people have warned me, which I've also received, was that I'm going to be seeing a lot of spirits for the first time, like seeing them fully while I'm walking.
Yeah.
And it's not that they're malicious, because I have seen them before, but like very briefly. They look just like you and me, and it's like a test to discern like are they really there or not.
Yeah.
And and they might invite me to come over for food, and then I'm not actually talking to someone.
Yeah.
And then I walk in and they're like, "What's this guy doing here?" I'm like, "Well, this guy invited me. Who's that guy? There's no one there." And now I'm in legality problems, you know.
Yeah.
So that's like what they're saying is like you have to walk right through it.
Yeah.
Show patience, because that you're gonna always have that when you leave it, but you have to show patience and like judgment, like. Is this really there? Learn how to decipher it.
Wow.
And then when I get through it, then I can go off the road, obviously, and get to the west side of Oklahoma.
Bro, that's incredible.
Yeah,
man.
I mean but that's really the hardest. That's what they're warning me the most about.
Yeah.
And it's because it might postpone the journey by going through legal stuff. You know.
Right.
But I am confident in my ability to go through that. And like I said, 3 different people said it to me, so be aware of it.
Yeah.
But even though I'm aware, it'll never happen the way that I expect.
Yeah.
And that's the part of it too. You can never expect something to happen the way that you think it will.
Right.
You know.
Right. Bro, that's incredible, man. Is it humanly possible to walk through that state in one day?
I have no idea. It's a big state. I really do not know.
Yeah.
But I know that
But you've been told that there's some things gonna happen
by
over
3 different people that don't know each other.
Yeah.
And it's very very unique. But like I said, it's nothing that's malicious stuff. It's a test, because also if I'm gonna see it, I need to know if I'm talking to a wall or not.
Yeah.
Like that's important to be able to acknowledge those things.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just a part of the journey of it, you know.
Yeah.
So but even though I say that now, it's going to happen in completely a way that it might happen at the very end.
Yeah.
And then they tell me to go back. You don't know.
You never know.
You never
right?
know. Just be open and be on your guard. And if things seem too good to be true, sometimes you got to think about why it's happening.
Yeah.
You know, like when I need water the most, that's when they come out. Like maybe that. You know.
Yeah. Like just like kind of to piggyback on Paul's vision when Jesus appeared to him. He had his own mission in mind to go persecute the Christians, right? But then Jesus asked him, he goes, "Paul, why are you persecuting me?" And he's like, "Lord, what are you talking about?" He goes, "These people are a part of me, and you're going to hurt people that are part of me." And the Bible talks about scales had covered his eyes, so he was blind, right? He was blind to his own actions, right? His own mission that he thought, right? But what God had intended for him was completely different, because then the Spirit wind up getting a hold of this man called Ananias. And he warned Ananias, he says, "Hey, Saul is coming and you're to put hands on him and you're going to see." And it's cool because Ananias, if you break it down in the Hebrew, his name actually means grace of God. And so when Paul, like Ananias is warned about this man, Paul, and Ananias is conversing with God, and he's like, this man is coming to kill people like me. And God is like, "Listen, I need you to anoint this person." And so he's scared out of his mind, like, "Man, this dude, he's a killer, right?" But okay, Lord, if this is what you want me to do, sure. So then at the divine appointment, bro, that Saul shows up, Ananias is there. Bro, he lays hands on him, and the first thing he sees is the grace of God. And then Paul's whole journey after that is, man, I'm going to save people, man. Like, this is crazy.
And it's a beautiful thing.
Right.
And that's it. Like, you never know, because his whole journey was meant for that point.
Yeah.
Everything he thought. And that's what I'm saying is, like, you never know. Like, if you told me 5 years ago, when I was still, probably 6 years ago when I was in New York still, like, you'll be living in the woods one day, vibing, talking to dead people. I'm like, give me some of that stuff.
Yeah.
And then it changed so radically.
Yeah.
So radically in a way that I can't make up.
Yeah.
And that's the part of the beauty of it. And it's such a beautiful experience, and you never know who you're going to meet.
Yeah.
And I've met some bad people. I've met some good people.
Right.
But like I said, it's just the entirety of it. Like, it's I can't possibly imagine going back to 9 to 5.
Right.
I'd rather have no money and live in the woods and then just keep wandering
Yeah.
than ever doing that again.
Yeah.
And I remember this one lady was like, "You're a modern day adventurer." I'm like, "What do you mean by?" I didn't even say it to her. What do you mean by it? She says, "Oh, you know, the video games people play. That's you." I'm like, I was like, "Oh my god!" And she's an old lady. I'm like, "That makes it so much more fun." You know.
Yeah. That's fun.
And it's supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
And that's like the whole thing is like you never know how it's going to unfold.
Yeah.
Because I could be on guard the entire time, and it's not till after I leave where it happens.
Right.
You know, and I wish that it wasn't the moment. I was too on guard to see it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So that might be the lesson too. It's just being open to the experience and being in the present.
Yeah.
You know, and trusting yourself.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. Bro, that's awesome, man. Alex, thank you so much for this conversation, bro. And I wish you good travels. And, bro, I really do hope, man, that we get to cross paths sometime in the future, bro. And
Life's weird like that.
yeah,
I appreciate having me, but you never know, you know?
Thank you so much. And, bro, do you have a social? Are you going to keep a social media so people can get a hold of you? And are you going to record your travels? Are you going to keep people up to date with your travels? If that's something.
Yeah, so I will record things, but like I said, the journey is for me at this point.
Right.
I will probably release it after I get to Sedona.
Yeah.
Because it's not about like the publicity of it.
Yeah.
I'm on. Like, they're telling me to do this for a reason, and to focus on things like social media and stuff like that. That's going to distract me from being what I'm doing. But I will end up posting it once I get home.
Yeah.
Or not home, but Sedona.
Yeah.
And I'll probably have like an audio thing where I do it. I have a Instagram right now that I made when I first made my business. It's like the Radio Psychic Readings.
Okay.
With an S at the end of it.
Okay.
But like I will change that, and it's not what it is anymore. So I'll probably change it more towards just like the Wandering Fool or something when that happens.
Okay.
You know, but probably in about 7 months is when I will release that stuff.
Yeah, good stuff, man. Good stuff, brother. Well, like I said, man, best wishes on your travels, bro. I pray you be safe, and I know it's gonna be incredible, man. Because, bro, you're a good dude. You bring good vibes, good energies. You're a humble dude, man, and you know what I'm saying. I really appreciate our time, man. And so, guys, if you like this video, man, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this, man. You know, because too often, man, we're closed-minded to certain things. But as you can see in this video, man, it was a great conversation, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? You meet incredible people, even, you never know. So,
You never know.
yeah, man. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, man. I appreciate all y'all. And until next time, see you.